We had these Serbs here today from Belgrade, and these are animals, literally. I have to say that a little earlier I suggested they were not involved in violence. These people were involved in Mount Everest of violence, including right here in front of this home for elderly people, where I was going to punch the fuck out one of them. They were delivered on the picture by Jana Zogolin, by ex-director Novo Mesto police station, who demanded Serbs to interact with me as much as possible. Basically, these people are ran by a gangs, Serbian gangs. And were used by Chetniks, by the Serbian Chetniks during torture procedures which these gangs enforced in Serbia, where I was hijacked, trafficked by this local police here, the so-called police. And in between those sessions, they were using these animals to pose with as normal, relaxed, tranquil people, because they had a grandma here in Slovenia. And they did exactly based on MK Ultra scenario today. They came right at the lobby as I came. And positioned themselves right at the end of this lobby at first. And then sit at the table. Totally copy-paste based on MK Ultra scenario, with one of the Serbs doing like this to his head. This was all involved in MK Ultra. He was giving me his disapproval, labeled me as mentally ill during MK Ultra, and suggested that for this meeting, that if he will not get the friendliness, love, I guess, because he stated it will depend on you how we will see you, how you will be, and went on to say that even looking at him in a wrong way would mean that I'm mentally ill, that kind of stuff. That's exactly what he did today. Other than that, there was Mateja Jerič, whom they have hijacked here. Yeah, they traffic her inside of this facility so that she posed as a ghost worker, as a director. That's what she was. She was coming from Ljubljana, and she posed as a director here. And with all these gangs that they gathered, that police gathered at Home for Elderly People, whom I supposedly would identify. The thing is, I'm not interested in identifying any gangsters and connecting myself to any Serbs, because they're all gangsters. This is all one big Serbia. That's all that comes to. One of them was a student, I know that for sure. For the other one, a taller guy, bald, I'm not even sure what he is by profession. I know when they got married. I know that stuff. I know the years when they got married, all that kind of stuff. And I don't think the tall guy ever attended any kind of university. I think that he was just, I have to think about. Maybe he's a technician, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about it. I know that the guy who came with the suit did he at least became engineer, but I don't know if he's got a 4-year degree or 2-year degree. I'm not sure about it. I would just suppose that he has 4-year degree. I remember him attending the university in Belgrade. I remember that. But that's all there is to it. Mateja Jerič was extremely pushy about these Serbs. She insisted that how quiet, tranquil they are, that kind of stuff. But she was an animal herself. Maybe she did not realize who the fuck she is. Maybe she's insane, but there wouldn't be no other excuse for her violence, for her own involvement in violence. So, just dobar dan. Psychopath, pathological liar, maniac. That's what she is. And if you acknowledge other people when you yourself are involved in violence as violent, that's not exactly good for you, is it? So I was surprised that she repeatedly acknowledged violent people as normal people during MK Ultra. But today when I analyze this stuff, it's somewhat understandable. Second thing, I explained my father all about what he hallucinated during MK Ultra already. He would use it as excuse for his behavior because they told him that he's going to come under the close evaluation with the people who, obviously by psychologists who evaluate people for why you would do stuff like this to your son. Why would you get yourself involved in torture? Why would you do these things? That's what they told him, that he's going to be evaluated. Štefanič, Juršič, they all told him about that. Psychiatrists, cops, they told him that he's going to be evaluated based on his character, that it's psychology do the profile of the person, of every person that's going to be involved in MK Ultra. That's what they at least scared him. So he started to hallucinate already during MK Ultra that if he's not going to have no other excuse to do it, he said to me, he saw so much stuff that was done on me that what he's going to do is that he's just going to act like he was the one who was tortured in the process. And then what they would do is, this goes sometimes to year 2011, they started to do stuff to him and record him like he was subjected to MK Ultra and stuff like this, which maybe he was, and I'm sure that it was times when he was, but he was not subject to any kind of torture like I was. When they observed my father being scared at the entrance to the building from the rear, actually entrance to the lobby area from the rear, at the door, there are sliding doors. They started to warn me that they observe him getting lost more and more whenever I bring him to the other side of the door during MK Ultra. And I was not the one who was bringing him. They were using police officers. But this is how they dement person. This is how they thought they're going to dement person. They were sure that I'm not going to even understand or know how to explain, or I should even more say, dare to explain about the stuff that went on during MK Ultra, right? So they started to insist that whatever I bring him to the other side of the door, talking about the cleaners, talking about the nurses, they talk to me like they observed me doing this with him. And in fact, it was the police during MK Ultra who did that, like I said. And they would have me next to him. As they would drive him back and forth, they would have me walk next to his wheelchair. This is what they were doing. And insisted me that he's getting lost, that he is not like mentally present, that he is timid, scared, whenever he gets into the certain areas. Now, Fact of the matter is that once they learn that father is getting like all, that he see things that don't fucking exist, and he's getting lost in that his own world, that he's not mentally present, what do you think they did? They started to torture me. The first thing they did is they wanted the feedback from me, and the feedback from me was like, fuck him, fucking asshole, fuck idiot, fuck the fucking asshole, stupid. This is what my feedback was during MK Ultra. What the fuck you gonna do with a crazy fucking animal if you're being tortured right in front of your father and your father is not doing a fucking thing about it? I mean, imagine somebody would go and hijack your father, or let's say your son, and the only thing you would do is nothing, basically. You would watch them torture him, and you would do nothing. Like, let's say Jack Nicholson, you would put your head back and you would say, fuck him. You understand what I'm saying? I wasn't happy about his attitude during MK Ultra. Plain dissatisfied. I would say fuck him and fuck you and fuck everybody. He couldn't do anything. What was happening to me. It wasn't happening to him. And he was healthy like a fish. Not willing to do, even to move a fucking little stone for me. To do a fucking thing for me. Nothing that he would witness and say, hey, whatever. At home, he could do, at any time, he could say, hey, do you know what's going on, and this and that, whatever. And I was left stranded all by myself without getting any shit other than terror at home by the father. Psychiatric terror. In the end, he threw me in psychiatric hospital in 2012. This was throughout my lifetime. And he figured out that he saw so much of this stuff done to me that eventually, if he's not going to have any other way, what he will do is he will just imitate me. And so in 2011, at his honor, so that I guess that he could see how that looks when you are tortured, terrorized, tormented, they started to torture me right at that entrance. They started to torture me already before that entrance in 2008 and so on. But in 2011, they started to torture me again at that entrance. That's basically a real entrance into the lobby area. And the same shit went also here with this entrance right here, where you go to the dining room area. This is where psychiatrist had his speech. This shit went on at this entrance to the dining room area and at the entrance in the back with the psychiatrist cops. Sometimes since like 1995 maybe. So when I said 2008 and 2011, this was like really to honor father. This was like really to demonstrate father how it is. It was a time when I felt for sure at the beginning stages that father observed them exactly the stuff they do with me, and I was sure that he's going to testify. I was sure that he's going to help me out, that he's going to give his testimony about the stuff they do. But he never made it anywhere. He never stated not a single fucking word. He never said one single word about the stuff that went on. So I told him today, Father, you know, what you see at those doors over there, and when you see at these doors, you have this exercise that he sits in a wheelchair, and what I do is, what he does is he's like this, pushing himself backwards. So he trains these legs, you know, which is exercise. That's what I would want him to do, exercise, be physical, keep muscles alive, at least get some circulation. He was doing this stuff during MK Ultra. It was the only exercise that was somewhat efficient that he would still be willing to do. And he's still willing somehow to do, which is a great thing. But every time when he gets to these doors, either entrance from the rear or dining room area, that kind of stuff, he's like, he just stops functioning. He just stops functioning, and he is just like he is like subdued by trauma, by fear. Like the fear takes him over. Like it's over with him. Like it's over with him. And so, as if the fear would take over, and he's just not capable to, he becomes like he's not aware of where he is, and as if something would have happening to him, as if he see people all of a sudden that are not there, and as if he recalls something. He does this kind of stuff. Now, he's either playing crazy, or he's totally faking it. I should say either he's faking it and playing crazy, or just as I told him today, I didn't say to him that he's faking it. I just said to him, listen, Father, I said, stuff that was happening during MK Ultra was not happening to you. It was happening to me. And I was very nice to him. I was very gentle to him. I said, whatever was happening to me, it was not happening to you. And so, since there never was anything happening to you, you do not have to enlive yourself into something that was not happening to you. You don't have to see things that were not happening to you. You watched me, what they were doing with me, but it was not the stuff that was happening to you. And so I said to him, there is nobody out there. This is just a kitchen area. Those are just a sliding doors. There's just nothing here really. Sometimes it's some cleaning lady, which they were using during MK Ultra to demonstrate me how Father is afraid of the cleaning ladies at that rear entrance to the lobby area. That's where they were brainwashing me. They were making impressions for the Father, basically, so that I could see basically what did not exist. And that's what he does. And so I said to him, Father, I said, listen, whatever was happening during MK Ultra was happening to me. It was not happening to you. You have to understand this. This is one of the things. And the second thing is, you have to be mentally present when we do exercise, so that you train your brain, so that you train your body, so that I can actually get you alive from here, so that I can get you alive, and that you can move on with life, that I can rehabilitate you, and so that you can have something out of your life. And he was just, I said, you cannot allow yourself to be in your own world, You cannot allow yourself to be somewhere absent with your mind, because that actually is dementia. When you're not present enough for you to use your time best to your abilities, totally non-communicative, you are obviously in your own world. I didn't want to say to him that he's faking it, I said, you're obviously in your own world, and that's dementia. They also had Juršič, Andrej Štefanič also, they also instigated in, with the psychiatrist option system, that sometimes they did this stuff always in front of me, and that's when they make impressions. I'm not sure if he is even present anymore, if he did not completely lost himself. And this is what they example me as dementia, and they were giving Father like diagnosis of dementia, and would not talk, communicate with the father, I understand, even for like 2 weeks. This is what they were brainwashing me with. This is what psychiatrist Kopsh was doing in front of me. Saying that it was 2 weeks that went nothing with the father, and that he wasn't even sure anymore if the father is, present anymore. It is the conclusions basically based on this brainwash that I myself afterwards have come to, because he played his role so well. He's faking it big time. Yeah, but he was diagnosed also with dementia. He was diagnosed with dementia. And by my talking to him like this, I'm giving him I'm giving him a confirmation that he's demented, when he is actually not demented. It was well rehearsed, everything. It's rehearsed with the psychiatrists. For this type of talk right here in front of the home for elderly people, even though they have instructed me to do the recap of every day that I do, and a home director for elder care, Mateja Jerič, insisted over and over and over that it's exactly this kind of stuff that is gonna fuck my father up. She's gonna have to explain also about that stuff. I wasn't doing any kind of recap during Andrej Štefanič, but it was Juršič, Štefanič, and others that insisted that I have on a daily basis do the recap. Once I'm done, that I have to come out and that I have to record all this stuff. Like, like something that under this kind of circumstances, like you wouldn't even do, right? What the fuck am I coming here for? I don't know, maybe to scratch my ass. She insisted that it's exactly this kind of stuff that police is going to be using. They're going to get the father, and it's exactly this kind of stuff that's going to fuck my father up. I'm not here to fuck my father up. I'm here to help my father. Rehabilitate him, get him home, keep him alive, and get him out. It's somebody else who did not want my father to come home alive and well. It was Mateja Jerič who further insisted that she will be deciding whether the father will be even allowed alive to come home out of this facility based on the stuff that I do right now, based on this daily recaps. In other words, again, she life threatened. Yeah, she life threatened to me in respect to my father, that she will get him killed, which was Nurse Yanko who was doing the stuff like this all along. If I will not comply and basically be silent about it. She was extremely stressed out and extremely concerned about my future reports that I would do right in front of the building. There's so much crime. There was nothing other than crime. It's audio, it's video recorded, this crime. Except that I didn't put one on the internet because they don't allow anything to be video recorded. They don't allow any kind of video recordings. And if I were doing this kind of bragging, I'll be bragging all the fucking time about stuff they do. So this is what we have today. I try to advise my father that it's in his best interest to be communicative, and even in better interest to explain about the stuff he had going on here in this facility with the police. Because that's actually where you can make a difference, when you make a difference for yourself. But other than that, I don't know. He started to choke, that he is choking. For his choking, it was a physician, a doctor, because I told him during MK Ultra repeatedly he's faking in front of me. And he was faking, of course. Insisted that she can prove any time that he has a problem with the bronchitis. Of course he has a problem with the bronchitis. If they keep the fucking window open from his room, if they give him aftershave that he is extremely sensitive to, if mother perfumes herself and is doing stuff to him, agitating his bronchitis and stuff like this, is of course that it's bad. It's also, I advised him today. I said to him, I said, Father, I said, when you're pushing yourself, it's no good for you. I always explain him this. I explain him, all my life I was explaining to him that pushing himself mucus out of the nose is not healthy for him. That pushing himself, releasing his cough and stuff like that, it's actually very bad for him, because what you do is you help create micro wounds inside of your body. And those micro wounds keep the infection alive if you have infection. Whether that be in your nose or your breathing channels, it's not good. When you have a cold, when you are sick, when you don't feel well, absolutely the only time that you let the nose, that you push yourself to clean the nose, and as a matter of fact, you're never supposed to push yourself to get the stuff out of your, they say mucus, you have to cough it out, No, man. When you start coughing out stuff and you push yourself, you create micro wounds, you actually spread the infection, you create even bigger problem than you had before. And I said to him, I dearly, I said that, please, I said that too, it's just try to suppress this. And, well, I mean, it's beyond his ability to control. If people use perfumes, if people use aftershaves, if people keep the window open from the room, but he easily could say, hey, I was here with the police, the stuff that you are saying is exactly correct, and so on. He just doesn't want, I understand many circumstances he's in. I know that he is not a young person, all that, I understand that. But he's doing stuff to himself that is actually not benefiting him. This is not actually stuff that's not actually even good for him. He is going too far with it. He is digging problems, and he's definitely digging grave for himself, because my intention never was to keep him here, not even 1 minute. I wanted him at home, and I wanted him to have a life. I said to him today, I said, come on. And I said to him every fucking time, I'm going to build you a pond. We're going to go fishing. You're going to be with me. And he just doesn't want, he wants his own story. Oh, it's also interesting today when I mentioned him about, there was not stuff that was happening to him. They were not doing to him. They were doing to me. And so I came up with the easiest, the most logical, the softest variant. I just said to him, I said, don't think about stuff that you have seen they were doing to me. They were not doing it to you. They were doing to me. I said, nobody is there. There is nothing. I try to explain to him, allowing your mind to get lost, it's not healthy for you. Just try to be present and think about the stuff that we do so that we can get you in as good physical shape as possible. And you know what he did? He said at one point in time, he said, you did too. Pointing at me, obviously gesturing that he was the one tortured at home for elderly people, and one of the people who tortured him was myself. We had also this kind of moment today at home for elderly people, which was bizarre. Then what he started to do is he started to strangle himself, cough. And that's when I said to him, you were the one who witnessed these things, and now the stuff that you have seen they were doing to me is what you see, and never actually was happening to you. And he started to cough and said, "Daddy, Daddy." I said, "Don't do that to yourself. Look." I said, "We were at the chapel." I said, "Look, you see that?" And I showed him the camera. It was right there. You know, he knew that I'm not video recording, but he completely forgot that that was actually a camera over there from the facility, the CCTV. So yeah, Mateja Jerič had serious problems. Mateja Jerič continued to threaten me with the death of my father if I would do the stuff like I do right now, which is dual looks of the bullshit. Don't you agree with me? This is a sort of continuation of what I started here in the March 13, 2026, exactly the way you see it. I couldn't do better than what I did. I am gonna scroll myself down. So what you do is you make sure you use a pause button. Read this over. I probably should have done this at the end of the video. I'm gonna do this for the end of the video. So all I want to do is I do want to comment. I want a bit extra comment on what exactly took place today when meeting those Serbs. And as I explained also in respect to elderly care home facility, its director, Mateja Jerič. It's extremely disappointing that you would directly employ dirty tactics like this, that you would go and you would threaten person with practically murder of his father for summarizing on a daily basis crime which you would enforce against one inside of your facility. That's sick. Never heard of anything like this. Never heard of. And she's a female. This is a female. It's not even a male. And she did not only imply about deadly outcome through the police. She pointed at the police. At the police. It would be a police that would do this. It would be a police, she implied on, that would come to conclusion that best solution for my father simply is death. Now, this is the way she explained herself, that gesturing my father right in front of me, it would have been even worth it for him to continue if I would be discussing the issues like I discussed today at Home for Elderly People. Continue to be alive, to live, to have what to live for. This clearly indicates to me that man had to listen this stuff. He was present when they were giving me this kind of statements and had a good reason to fear for his life. This further goes into the area of suggesting one how his every step, not only inside of the facility where they have this video surveillance system, CCTV, all over the facility, they have cameras, would be monitored, but literally giving one threats, such as getting his father killed, if he would summarize the crime outside of the facility, meaning we will be watching your every step, not only inside of the facility, but also outside of the facility, in front of this, in front at the entrance area, where, of course, he would be doing this kind of recordings. She did not imply for, I'm thinking, yeah, they did imply also for the back, where the parking area is also outside. The same thing. This was more than once a death threat. This was elder care director Mateja Jerič, who spent her life practically in Ljubljana, working in Ljubljana, where she would also bring me to some kind of facility known as Caritas, I think it was, or it was Red Cross, whatever it was. She was meeting with the people like on a weekly basis, something like that, and would be providing like some sort of support, assistance, mentorship of some disabled people. Yeah. This was in Ljubljana, where she worked. Therefore, taking on some charity or something like that, so that she could have on her resume listed that she's rather like a productive member of the society, not a criminal. I find this in particularly sick, because during MK Ultra it's all about a paranoia about how they, even when they didn't have, almost, when it was a time when they didn't even have any cameras in this facility. They had like black and white system with just, I don't know what it was, nothing really, like 2 cameras or something like that. It was nowhere near as sophisticated as it is now. At least I'm talking about the receptionists, and who knows what else is out there. But like record long time, these people didn't even have, apparently, that's what they claimed me, any kind of CCTV cameras. This is something that yet when this investigation of this home for elderly people is going to take place, I will protest most severely against. This is bullshit. This is insane. That in a place like this, you would not have any fucking cameras and stuff like that. I find this sickening. In every fucking apartment building that you have on a South Beach or wherever in the US, you have, which is a normal thing, cameras all over the place. And I don't understand, because financially, this is such a small investment, and such an important stuff that you would employ for the safety of the residents, that it's kind of weird that these people, if it's to believe to police, to investigators when they were coming, I was trying to find out if there's like way for people to actually record them, to, I counted also on the receptionists that they would take certain steps and, take some information like this on the side home. And they insisted like there was nothing, like there was no camera, no cameras, no nothing. We had this kind of stuff going on. When you insist to somebody about how you're going to have cameras all over there, you can see the contrast. During MK Ultra bestiality performed on me, supposedly there was no cameras. when I would be meeting these people in real time. However, they make sure that I would feel threatened, surveillanced, basically. Even outside of the building itself, for which not supposed to be any cameras. I've seen those cameras. There are entrances and stuff. Shouldn't be any anything like what Mateja Jerič was describing to me. I should be wary of how it shall be and will be if I will give a thorough, detailed report about what I saw took place. She eventually even protested to, it was, just as I stated earlier, it was now it doesn't even come to me. This is late hours, which is kind of crazy. Ex-director of Novo Mesto police station, Juršič, who was giving me instructions on how I should do this like on a daily basis, she protested to him that he shouldn't be teaching me about that stuff and so on. She's a weird extremely weird bird, this Mateja Jerič, this director. Insane. Totally insane. A female, woman. It kind of leaves me confused about it all. When it comes to the Serbs, with the Serbs, it's like this. There are probably 2 Serbs that were in the history of the Serbia where I was hijacked. The list involved in a physical aggression, in a violence. Yet the 2, one was not involved. Even that one, it's not that he was not involved. He was. He did have also one instance when there was something, and also questioned me whether he should be like this with me or maybe he should turn violent. The other one, I did explain. He even threatened, he even suggested that he could get into physical confrontation with me in front of the facility and stuff like this. A bald, taller guy. Yeah, probably in the history of Serbia, these 2 guys were the least in physically and involved in a violence during MK Ultra. I'm just going to put it, whether that be psychological, physical, whatever the case. And that gives you the idea what a shithole that really was and is. And it goes likewise to the Russia. What they would do is they selected the people, a range of people that were the least involved in violence, and literally in this case, send them to home for elderly people, which Mateja Jerič, again, together with Janez Ogulin, Mateja Jerič, through the file, personally evaluated the people that would be coming to the home for elderly people and demanded. Yeah, she was a ghost worker. She was coming from Ljubljana to Novo Mesto and was meeting me at home for elderly people, inside of the home for elderly people in Novo Mesto. And they're not supposed to be there. And not only me, but Janez Ogulin, police, local police, if you want to refer this to this, the police, yes. Learning absolutely everything about, they had a profile on every person that was involved. and who would be coming for a visit inside of the home because they wanted to present. I already learned about this stuff. What they were doing is, out of the range of the people, they had different gangs. And all these gangs were directly connected to the government. And out of every gang, there was person, two, that they would keep, either they would keep not involved in crime directly, however, every one of those persons was related to the certain circle of the people in a such a way so that I would recognize that they are connected, the entire circle around them. And what they would do is they would send people like this, so that if you would go and you would accuse them or whatever, blah 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 blah, they could go and say, no, I did not this or I did not that, whatever. You get the drill. And so that basically is a process of vindicating, and director and police and absolutely everything would look like as if it was not a big deal. They had a whole system they developed based on this stuff. Now, and there is a little bit worse than that. In case of the Russia, I learned at one point in time that there is like a highway to the sea, to the Black Sea, that Russians were using whenever they were vacationing. And they would dump me inside of the cars and drove me with them along to the Black Sea from Russia. And that would be on the side of the road. This is like area like toward Sochi, like where they have those Olympic Games, whatever, Winter Games or whatever. And on the side of the road, there was already a standardized parking lot, not parking lot, but parking, like rest, not really rest area, but where you could park and stretch your legs, let's say, maybe drink coffee, something, and continue. No, this is just in the middle of the forest, highway through, and on the side, it's just like a parking spot. And they were driving me through that highway. My God, for the fucking, I don't know. They started to get nice with me with a group of younger kids, sometimes like in 2015, that they would also not get them involved in crime, not to such extent. And I noticed this stuff, how they do this stuff, what they were doing this stuff, and they would use them. In this case, this is the other day, I was browsing the internet, and what it does is you have this algorithm, Google in a parenthesis, bullshit, not algorithm. They found you the videos and they deliver me these videos on a desktop, they displayed on the side. Okay, you click on it, bam, and you have like the whole MK Ultra shit, where you were, you see the locations and stuff. So I'm watching that shit, and I see this. I see a good-looking chicks. I see, and everything goes all right. Everything goes well till I see this. They are riding with a car and they stop on the side of the road, and I look at the location, and no shit, man. I see the location where I was tortured for like every fucking trip. And in the summertime, there wouldn't be one trip. They would take more than one trip on that route toward Black Sea. Shit. When I saw that stuff, I all forgot about beautiful chicks and those young guys. I felt, I was fucking enraged, mad. when I saw that stuff. When I saw this shit, I see it. Damn, and I said, man, I see that area. I recognize it immediately. I look where, this is how this is, and man, I fucking lost it, you know. What I started to do is I started to think about who these people, what else can I found, you know. And then I realized that no matter how I try to pull something out about this, it wasn't bad, really. The girls flirted with me, and shit, I didn't have nothing really on these kids, really, not much. And then I realized that they prepared this in such a way so that you would go on the internet and comment that you found a torture location where these people torture and so on, because it's a location that was completely stained with the prior torture. Many torture sessions in that parking on the side of the road area. So, and I learned basically that what they did was they stained the original crime with people that were not really involved in those kind of physical violence, trauma, cardiovascular, sleep deprivation, burnout crimes. Violence, man. This shit was fucking violent, unfucking believable. And it's the same thing again, connected to a good number of people through whom they enforce crime, yet you cannot say directly that they were doing a crime. So that's the kind of stuff that you would have, I don't know, at Home for Elderly People. There is quite a good number of people that were directly involved in bad stuff. But that's the type of people, let's say these Serbs, when they came here. I saw the girl who claimed me that she even got married with a guy just because she liked me in that sense. Sent here to Slovenia. Listen, what the guy did today at Home for Elderly People, actually yesterday is bullshit. It's a crap. It could result even in a physical fight. Easily. This is insane, man. I walked with the father. I did an exercise with the father, pushing father on a chair for this disabled people, giving the father opportunity to push himself backwards with his legs, making sure I wouldn't smash into somebody as I was moving backwards, through this lobby, back and forth through this area where people eat. It's not really buffet. It's just like bar sort of reception area, lobby area. And I see the guy, doing this kind of stuff. At one point in time, he went to the restroom, whatever, and left the telephone right there on the table so I could recall the stuff, pertaining to his brainwash. Extremely nasty stuff. With one individual, as I stated, who I can say that he never got involved in any kind of violence. We can say that. That easily can be used to suggest through the lie detectors that, the part that I explained, there's nothing you can do about. But other part, if I would say, it could be disputed, and it's from Serbia, and so That's how they did. They literally handpicked, selected based on files. Basically, they were building a profile of the people to cover up for all the violence in Serbia and for, like, I don't even know how to explain to you what the fuck that means, that you're being hijacked to the country with which your country had war. I don't think, maybe people don't even understand this shit properly. We had war with the Serbs on the Balkans for 10 years. Not we Slovenes. Yes, I did have more than that, but Slovenes only briefly, 14-day war was here in Slovenia. In Croatia was for 5 years, and in Bosnia. And then it was in Kosovo over there that lasted for 10 years, man. Until 99, until the NATO bombed them. Basically, until the NATO bombed Serbs because they had war with everybody. How the fuck you go as a police? But this again, I explained to you that they had me participate literally in ethnic cleansing. I explained to you that police here from Novo Mesto even was involved in ethnic cleansing stuff. So for me to say, how the fuck you go and you continue to hijack somebody to the Balkans, to the Serbia, and do the stuff like this when he doesn't want to have absolutely nothing to do with it? Yeah. Is this, what the fuck is this? As a country, you don't have the right to do this kind of stuff. And all the fuck you are is a police here in Slovenia. The fuck is a police hijacking citizens to other countries? What the hell that's supposed to mean? And countries with whom you had war, and based on my history, it should never take place. I mean, and what? Try to make the whole thing like ice cream, like, oh, it's not a big deal, or what exactly the message here with this sickening stuff? This is, look, my personal decision that I will not involve Serbs and Russians into this thing, simply because they are not viable option. They are not option of any kind as far as I'm concerned. Just because of that. Because of the ultra criminal character, national character, for which Serbs believe, due to the largest minority on the Balkans, and the same thing was with the Russians inside of the Soviet Union, that everybody automatically, just for being the largest group of people, their access to just about anything in any of these post-Soviet or post-Yugoslav countries, republics, would simply grant them automatic access. This is not like this here. I'm a very different person. I don't have any kind of politicians I would embrace. So these are just personally, they have agenda to overthrow Slovenia and make one against Serbia. That's why I didn't want them anywhere in the picture. Using a police and their minority status in this country, that option is extremely possible. Using me practically to prove that some criminal shit goes on in a country, some sort of shit that never ever should have gone on, without absolutely anybody protesting to it. that much for these politicians like Janša and Peterle and Rupel and etc. etc. It's garbage. It's ex-KGB people that are the opposition to the Milan Kučan, to the Serbs, basically. That's a Serb. Milan Kučan, that's a Serb. He never represented anything other than Slobodan Milosevic here. He did not represent here anything else than Serbia here. He might have been born here. Yes, he was born here. He's got a Slovenian last name and everything. He speaks Slovenian and everything, but he did not represent Slovenia. He represented here Serbia. He represented here Russia. Why should I consider an individual like this as a Slovenian when he's doing absolutely everything to destroy country, people, and so on? So, for me, it's a decision to keep them out of my affairs. If they will want to be seen in the picture, they're going to be seen, well, whether they like it or not, they will be seen in the picture exactly for what they are. That's one thing. And the second thing is, if they will want to be on the picture as somebody who actually contributed to somebody's existence, they're going to have to get themselves another opportunity like this, because these people were doing everything they possibly could to get me killed during MK Ultra for 50 years. So I'm just not the right person for Serbian and Russian promotion, whatever that might be. It is just as simple as this. They've gone too far with it. They lost it, man. They did very bad things. So I'm not interested in that. I don't have anything else I would say about this visit of the father. This is just based on my own decisions I made. There's been other attempts, pressures they tried to pressure me with in respect to the Serbs. They organized other stuff also. I did not even report it, that involved situations involving Serbs and this and that. No, I feel okay. I feel comfortable. I don't have any need to put Serbs anywhere in the picture. It was Janez Ogulin, who had also ex-director of Novo Mesto police station, who had enormous problems with me because I just ignored Serbs. I just put them on an ignore button, and obviously, who did not understood. He understood very well, but he just basically ignored, just like animals do, basically. He was not interested in what I would do to him if I could. He was more interested in getting me killed and to prove himself to be a torture machine. Somebody who gets away with a crime regardless of how bad crime is, how much he violates in laws and constitution and international treaties and everything. That man took a lot of shit upon himself together with Igor Juršič, also director, and Štefanič. And let me accent something, since I am doing this stuff here. None of this stuff would have happened if these people did not have a direct support from European Union, from Brussels, where European Union Parliament is, from Strasbourg, where European Court for Human Rights is, and of course, United Nations and Amnesty International, American US Congress, White House. These people don't do anything. I should say, if there is just any kind of element, external element, that could jeopardize them, these people would have not touched absolutely anything. They would not dare to touch law the way they violated the law. They would not even think about, contemplating on absolutely anything. They would not touch one. Absolutely, they would not touch one. Everything that you have seen came from London, with the full support of the British royals, of the European elites, these special elites that made them accessible, a corruption through United Nations, through U.S. Justice Department of State, I should say White House, Congress, meeting all these people, politicians, Brussels. They control the court through the Brussels. Basically, Brussels Parliament is the place through which they control everything. That's where they negotiate everything. And then everything else is just a consequence of negotiations, prior negotiations done through the Parliament. They don't, but they have sessions, private sessions, where they discuss all these issues, negotiate, trade, if you like, with the human rights, in a parenthesis. This doesn't even go into the category of the human rights anymore. None of this stuff would have been possible. None of this stuff, if it wasn't for external crime, regardless of how small crime is, pertain to the government. All the governments, all the European governments are extremely, extremely punctual. They do discuss, negotiate. European Union and NATO, they all discuss with one another before they do something. They cover ass to one another, and that's how they broaden their, in a parenthesis, what you would refer to as a cooperation, mutual cooperation. So they make sure that they would do this kind of filthy things, that they have actually nothing, absolutely nothing to worry about. With that being said, I don't have anything else other than keep your button on a pause. I'm going to roll. It's already what I posted on a March the 13th, 2026, 2 days ago. I described in details the situation with the father, about this play, mom and father, home for elderly, all that stuff. I don't have anything else with this stuff. This is a very, very, very good evaluation. And let me just give you, I have written it down. We're going to scroll down, and you're going to read that over, and it's going to give you a stronger impression about this police game, on how this stuff was done. This is what I was going to demonstrate you earlier, and I think I just, this is going to give me a chance to, all right, let's see. Let's try this here. Let's try this stuff here. So this will be one. This is the HTML address. And so you just keep pause button on and off as I scroll down. This shit I was talking to you about, it's actually confirmed. My father, whose video recordings I don't have the permission to play you, is choking himself and choking and choking and choking and choking, as much as I try to, in a very nice, polite, as much as gentle way to explain to him that, that he needs to talk to me, whether they keep the windows open, whether that they're using a perfume or they're using, any of these issues, that he's got to let me know so that I can do something about this stuff. He still continues to choke. He still have a problem with a bronchitis. I'm just going to be scrolling down now. This stuff here, I have investigated one. The way I investigate these things is basically it is as good as things can be investigated. I don't even take chance when I say for the people. When I charge them with a crime, with a stuff, I don't even take chance. I describe exactly the way it is. This is individual, this animal here. And I said animal. Just earlier today, I found a location right here in Iran they would be delivering me to for torture purposes. It's Tehran. This is the location which Andrej Štefanič is going to have to explain. I'm not angry at the Irani people. I am absolutely not angry at the Irani people. I found bizarre, actually, completely insane, the situation that goes on in the Middle East. This is insane, bizarre, and I actually support Iran in this. What the fuck can I say? This 9/11, this September 11, 2001 already killed 5 million people. Already 5 million people were killed during the so-called war on a terror, George Bush's war on terror, through the 9/11, through the September 11. I don't have any kind of... all you have to do is put down killed, and you write down Gaza like this, and you take the last 24 hours, and you're going to see something as disgusting as you have. It's like historical. I mean, every day you're going to see they kill women, children, medics, journalists. They murder people indiscriminately, talking about the Palestinian people in the West Gaza, in the West Bank, or in a Gaza itself. This is not a war on Iran. This is a war on Islam. I despise people that even read news about Donald Trump's war in Mid East. This is not a war in Mid East. This is a war on Mid East. As I said, 5 million people is being killed. Countries such as Libya, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, and beyond, Lebanon. They were being burned to the ground. They were turned into ash. This is not a war on Iran. This is extermination procedure people from all over the world can watch when it comes to Gaza already since 2023. Look what they have done with Syria. Look what they have done with Libya, and they have absolutely done nothing with Iraq also to rehabilitate these countries, to help them become American allies. I told them, what the fuck are you doing with this stuff? Why don't you just go and, I was in no shape to pressure them more in a situation as I was, but all these countries should have become American allies. Every fucking one of these countries you burned to the ground should have been re-educated and retrained to become your allies. Basically, your supporters, the supporters of America. The Arab people are extremely easy people to be around with when it comes to, if you would just give them a chance, and they would gladly extend their hands. And, you just had really bad intentions with them, clearly. And so, in this war, do I support Iran? Yes, I do. And so, a little earlier, however, I found the location when I was tortured in Iran, which is quite amazing, actually, where I was delivered by the local Andrej Štefanič, the funny man. That's such a nice guy. He was such a nice guy. He demanded from me to see him as a nice guy. There was nothing nice really about this animal, just like Igor Juršič. Together with the Igor Juršič, they would deliver me, together with the psychiatrist Peter Kapš. He was obsessed. They were obsessed with Iran, with using Iran for the bad stuff. They were totally, totally obsessed with it. This is location that they will have to explain. Let me just make sure here that I make sense. This would be, doesn't even, that should be, let me see this here. 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna go here to this here, and then that's Tehran right there. I'd try to no, it wouldn't be. Okay. Still, I'm trying to find What the hell would exactly be the address here for this place here? House. Reich Studio Tehran. No. Tehran Press. Okay. All right. Let's take this one here. Okay. So that should actually help me out at least a little bit. Let me see this here. Let me verify this. Yeah, it's very good. Let's go. And what I do is this thing here like this. And I'm gonna demonstrate you. This is the building where I was brought for torture. And also this building here. These are the buildings where I would be brought for the torture. This was a torture area here. This area here. I know it. So Slovenian police, look, there is a police officer right there who was involved in it. The people were involved in it. They met me, saw me. They couldn't do nothing. But there is one thing they did. Is this man here, a police officer, was here. Sure. He was always here. He was always. Where the hell is the... Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. They had this man, or whatever other man, here frequently, and he would talk and so on. And this is where they would turn inside. You cannot go inside. There is no Google Maps much in Iran. I'm actually surprised, at least you get like this. Nicely, you get to see. People very friendly in Iran, from what I recall this. Why am I doing this? Why am I talking about? How the hell did I find myself here? Well, I mentioned animals, right? So when you say animal, somebody, it's the right thing to give an example, to give a perfect example. What exactly you mean by that? Yeah, so yes, animals that would deliver me for torture, psychiatrists, cops, that kind of stuff. I pointed you the buildings. All you gotta do is basically interrogate these animals here in Slovenia. That's Iran. Now, the thing is that Iran is a poor country. Iran was on a sanction list its entire time since people overthrew Pahlavi. Iran found itself completely isolated, listed as good as dead, because if it's not American, British espionage that controls the country, then in that case, there is no place for whatever country, I guess. This is the way they operate. And the system which British royals, CIA, European Union officials, they like to boast about how successful they are. I have no fucking idea, because me, myself, which is very unlikely I ever would see myself in, I don't see myself in a politics of Serbia and Russia. However, I don't see myself inside of the European Union politicians, nor in American politics. It's crazy for me to say that my point of view on the world today practically does not differ from the point of view of what I considered yesterday as an enemy. Those for whom Americans pointed as communists and etc., etc. That's pretty fucking insane. How the hell did we got here? This is not a success, or is it? Something terribly, terribly, terribly wrong with this. Terribly, terribly, terribly wrong with it. They interpretate themselves to the world as successful, as a royals, as a freedom, a pillar of democracy. Try to depict other countries, such as Iran and so on, as whatever. Oppressive regime, dictatorial regime, etc., 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 etc. So the question is, how the hell we got here? How do we got here? And I'm going to explain to you how we got here, because none of this would have been possible without these people. Let me demonstrate you how exactly we got here. I will demonstrate you how we got here. We got here like this.
When Britain shot hundreds of innocent Indians. It's April 13th, 1919. Jallianwala Bagh Garden.
This is how we got here.
Hundreds of innocent Indians. It's April 13th, 1919. Jallianwala Bagh Garden, India. Thousands celebrating a harvest festival. Families, children, elderly pilgrims. British General Reginald Dyer arrives with 90 soldiers. He blocks the only exit, then gives the order. No warning, no announcement, just bullets. 1,650 rounds in 10 minutes into a trapped crowd. People run to the walls. There's no way out. The garden is enclosed. They rush the exit. Dyer's men shoot them down. Families throw themselves into a well to escape. 120 bodies pulled out later, drowned hiding from bullets. Mothers shot holding children. Elderly shot trying to shield grandchildren. For 10 minutes, they just keep firing into the crowd. When ammunition runs out, Dyer orders his men to leave. No medical help, just bodies bleeding in the garden. Official count, 379 dead. Indian sources, 1,000 plus. When asked why he didn't let them disperse, Dyer says,
I wanted to teach them a lesson.
Why not help the wounded?
Not my job.
The British response? The press calls him a hero. Citizens raise £26,000 as a gift. He gets a sword, saviour of the Punjab. He retires with full honours, never apologises. Today, the garden is a memorial. Bullet holes still in the walls. The well still there. Britain didn't apologise until 2019, 100 years later. Not sorry, just regret for suffering caused. The garden where they locked the gates. The general they called a hero. The 100 years to say regret. When Britain shot hundreds of innocent Indians. 2019, 100 years later. The general they caused. The garden where they locked the gates. The general they called a hero. The 100 years to say regret. When Britain shot...
So you do understand the message here. This is the message. First of all, let me demonstrate you something.
Say...
This location here,
Sorry.
that you see here, this location...
Just regret for suffering. 2019. Bullet holes still in the walls, but apologizes. Today,
This location here that you see, I used to be brought here to this location since 1988 to this location here by the Indian people. They would deliver me to this location since 1988. I did not even understood what the fuck I was brought here. But Milan Kuchan, Robert Golob made sure that I would be delivered to this location since 1988 and tortured and since 1995 tortured most severely, so that sometimes in 1998, to be exact, Princess Anne, Prince Charles would negotiate, but what they claim here is they never obtained any reparations. They did, because they negotiated. I was present, and in return for negotiating, for the compensations, Indian side continued with the torture, blaming me to be a neo-Nazi and etc., etc., etc. This was how the British royals were buying curse against me, just like the way I explained right here. This is where they continue to bring me here and torture me. This was a torture location for 20 years. I would refer to this location even as a ritual sort of location. Illuminati ritual location. This is where they build your karma, basically. That's where they video record themselves, and that's how they get the proofs that you're evil, and etc., etc. Right here, this is the first thing that I want to clarify. Indian people also not innocent. What have been done to you yesterday, very little have stayed with you the next day. It went directly through your stomachs, directly through this. They oiled you, and it was gone. And this video itself, I video recorded another video, and it was not properly. I did not talk the way I supposed to. This video, however, this stuff here, was used as a part of MK Ultra brainwash. Let me demonstrate you.
A memorial. Bullet holes still in the walls. The well still there. Britain didn't apologize until...
You heard that? Britain did not apologize until 2019. Yes, Britain did not apologize until 2019. But in 2019, all those curses that were done at this location against me, that's basically video recorded himself with... I did not even exist, practically. But in 2018, this case became undeniable. Everybody involved in MK Ultra agreed that I did prove the case already in 2018 when I immigrated to Poland and I started to identify people. This case irrevocably became recognized by Illuminatis in 2018. And so, if you want to say to somebody that you don't want to issue an apology or whatever because there is a guy out there, we have agreement, we're not going to be apologizing for as long as this guy right there is in cahoots. This is the way it was, that's one thing, it's one thing. But when I proved this case to be real, there was nothing other left for the British other than to apologize for this. They apologized this to the Indian side. And they did not call this apology, they expressed regrets. Let me demonstrate you.
Is a memorial. Bullet holes still in the walls. The well still there. Britain did...
In other words, they were not able to hide like... They were not capable to extend this contract. Yeah, this is difficult to understand. I will explain to you.
Didn't apologize until 2019, 100 years later. Not sorry, just regret for suffering caused.
Okay, not sorry, but just regret for suffering caused.
The garden where they lost...
I was involved in this. I was involved in it, and it was a big deal. It was the British royals that Prince Charles directly involved in me, and I was the one who personally insisted that they should not be apologizing for something. They claimed me that they saved the Punjab, just as it ends the video, that he saved the Punjab. I have no idea what it is, but India profited from this, maybe because of the Muslims. I don't know what the issue was. And with the Indian government, they organized this in such a way so that they would make Indian people understand that they actually profited this rather than to lose. And the British royals were basically using me for this curse. Therefore, I got brainwashed to view things the way the British royals, the way it would fit best to the Britain. And therefore take upon myself entire curse, prior to which I was tortured bestially on this location on behalf of British, who, however, no longer were capable to hide existence of this case. Obviously, it appears to me that they have even agreement that for as long as I don't prove this case to be real, this case would even, location would even remain hidden. But yeah, on the other hand, it's 100 years, maybe one or the other. It's weird that they would do such amount of torture. It's weird that they negotiated with the Indian government deals, whatever they were doing. This is just exactly the way I explained. This was 1998 that they already signed certain deals, compensation packages through the British Royal, talking about British government, through the British Royals. Oh, British Royals, Charles and Anne are going to explain to you. They had torture going on, severe torture, 97, 98. The British Royals directly participated in the torture. Otherwise, this was a location of Milan Kučan where Robert Golob, Slovenian police, would continue to bring me for torture purposes. Thousands of locations like this. Bestialia, global bestialia. This is how they do it. They expanded the circle, just as was the case with the 9/11, with the September 11, 2001, into one enormous circle of people. So that it becomes blatantly evident, big, huge, wide. And no matter what the fuck you would do, government continues to prove that they're always one step ahead of you by offering people jobs, employment, or who the fuck knows, maybe even making them homeless if they don't want to listen.
The gates, the general they called a hero, the 100 years to say regret.
And the video afterwards that you see right here was used. They would never, the only thing that they would do is they would signal me this video here, this.
Britain didn't.
This was a specialty of the Robert Golob. I believe Robert Golob is directly connected to whoever manufactured this video. Milan Kučan. This is a product of Milan Kučan, this video. It's a good video. If you do apologize, if you do issue compensation, it's your job to issue that publicly. But this video was used during MK Ultra by Robert Golob to literally torment me, torture me, probably on behalf of British royals too, to suggest me there will be no compensation, there will be no apology, no nothing, only a regret for a suffering caused. This is the way Milan Kučan, Robert Golob negotiated, and most likely in the name of the British royals.
Bullet holes still in the walls. The wells.
This video became Robert Golob's specialty inside of our house, beginning sometimes 2013. And 2013 was a really, really bad year for me. So these people, were for what I'm talking about, as I was talking to you about, how the hell is this stuff possible? How is it all this stuff possible? It is possible. It is possible. In a normal country, they would have animals like this in the cages already. They would put them away. They would storm the police with the police, or they would storm the police with the military, whichever way it would be. The police like this, Never was, and it cannot be, because it's not a police. But in this new age, the way we see it, the chances of somebody like myself to connect himself, to see himself more in a people, otherwise very, very unlikely. People that have always traditionally had a problem, let's say, with, I'm going to say, colonialism, Nazism, etc., 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 which I was trying desperately to ignore, put aside, for the sake of better relations, for the sake of trade, relations, expanding alliance. Yeah, you do have to be flexible. If you want to get people to the table, you do have to show them that you do have that your interest in certain cooperation goes beyond those, I'm not going to say any kind of rules or regulations or whatever, but let's just say resentments. Resentments are difficult to breach. They are heavy obstacles. They're also defense mechanism. But they're not defense mechanism when they start to make things more difficult, counterproductive. So I always had a policy to be relaxed, to be flexible, to be friendly, to try to make the sense out of it so that everybody can make money. Till I realized that the people against whom traditionally colonialists and neo-Nazis, colonizers, I would say, ex-colonial superpowers, considered to be their enemies, were actually their allies, friends, partners, when it concerned my own case. And even more so when I learned that they're murdering innocent people out there on a broad daylight without absolutely any conscience. This is when I realized that being around these people itself, just being around them, is of immense problem, of immense trouble. It did go, I must say, it did go even beyond this issue here, which is somebody like myself who was tortured throughout entire Europe, world.
Until 2019, 100 years later, not sorry, just regret for suffering caused. The garden where they locked.
When it goes even this issue, we are out, man. Yeah, you would be surprised what a loser they can make out of the human being in this world. You can get more than just cheated for money, for a pay, for the sake of, well, we can say justice, whatever. That's not justice anyhow, anyways. You can get treated even more. You can find that special fucking place in hell next to the Nazis, colonizers, the people that got you know, that goes into the darkest part of the, or drawer of the history, of the human history. You can get fucked. They can fuck you so badly, they can fuck you. That I realized, maybe even in the last moment, and you know, I was looking at, and it just didn't feel right, man. That I made a decision to jump off that crazy fucking train going to fucking nowhere. Yes, I feel that war on Iran, I should say on Islam and all this, is total lunacy. It's a war on entire humanity. And based on the humanity, based on the movie that you have seen, that short little movie about that, I am in a category of those people that were slaughtered over there. I don't think that I'm a human being, honestly. Dealing with what I dealt, and people of this world have seen it through the Asia, through the Africa, through South America, all over the Europe, and all over, and Australia, and you name it, all the way to Greenland. This is not the way to go. Very proud about your endless victories, because every fucking loss you present as a victory. This is what you claim inside of the European Union. Your every loss is a victory. You win this, you win that contract, we won this, we won. And the people are getting less and less and less, and I'm not even people. This is why I maybe I took a little bit too far, maybe I got a little bit philosophical about this shit, but I think it was necessary. This is not normal under any circumstances. The law and order, international treaties, I want to talk about the Constitution. It's completely dysfunctional and criminal. I observed even anti-torture committees. I'm gonna send few more out, okay, to be directly involved in this. Every United Nations representative from anti-torture committee was involved in it. The truth is that I never took step to connect myself to them. These people did, every one of them. It doesn't really matter, even if they're no longer employees. They will be all of them. About 6 of them will be my witnesses. This is something you're gonna see still. This is gonna be the next step that I'm gonna do. But you know, if you're a witness to somebody, you can extend your hand to that person and help him out. You don't have to wait for him to find you, unless you hope that he's going to drop dead or something along the way before he's going to mention your name, land you an email on your desktop. I don't understand any of this. This is unprecedented. This whole fucking thing is totally unprecedented. It is insane. It is hard to believe. Just as I mentioned, a female director of home for elderly people that would go to the distance and interrogation will demonstrate that what I stated to you in this video is absolutely everything, the way it was, is fucking incredible. It's incredible. It is incredible. I've been in this business for 54 years. Being tortured was part of the business. They tortured so they could hide the identity of the people in whichever country they would deliver me to. This shit is unprecedented. But if it would go, the whole thing would go this far, like this, in such a way, well, in my fucking wildest dreams, I possibly could not. I would, it's not that I could not. If I would, I'm sure you understand, I probably would end up as insane. If I would assume that they would do something like this with me during these torture sessions and stuff like this, I probably would end up really, I don't know. It would be a terrible, terrible emotional pain, I tell you that. The MK Ultra, they have a capacity to cause you a lot of emotional suffering, pain. It's very tough. It's very bad stuff. And so all the hell I needed is the message like the one that you see right there in the video that I played you to remind me of some other sickening issues. So, well, these are the people that continue to opposivati, I don't know how you say that, invite people on elections. They have a big billboards. Robert Golub has a big billboards. I should say Milan Kuc has now big billboards where he's advertising his services, political, vote for me, vote throughout the Slovenia. And it seems to me the Slovenian voters are more concerned about this truth coming out than anything else. I think that Slovenian voters are the problem itself. I don't think it's the politicians. I think it's the Slovenian people, the Slovenian nation, that are the biggest problems in it. You know, I think, personally, if I would live in a country that was given a freedom, and when compared to yesterday, my salary, my pay would maybe quadruple, maybe even more than quadruple, and I would have access to excellent health care and cars and money, and would end up wasting money on vacations, foreign real estate. This is maybe even one of the wealthiest countries, definitely is in Europe, Slovenia. And I knew for the man who created me this kind of country, in fact, is the guy that we were all using so we could get a hold of these connections throughout the world and build through connections and markets and investment opportunities in a little country. And if that would be highly criminal, highly illegal through abductions, hijackings, human trafficking, that kind of stuff, who the fuck knows? Maybe I would also wish him to be rather dead than for the truth about me as a Slovenian to come out, my country. I find it bizarre. I find it fucking crazy when I hear people talking about the World War II. Not because it wouldn't be difficult, not because there would be human suffering, but action thing. Trauma based on acting sometimes that I see. Like Milan Kučan required people to stress their experience during the World War II as traumatic, as difficult, impossible, which I agree. I don't have the problem with it. Both sides of my family were actively supporting partisans and even participated in the partisan movements. Both sides of my family. I cannot, however, relate to an attitude of the people that continue to reject the fact that elections are more important than to acknowledge that one person from this country, however, did file for more than a dozen political asylums across the world. Dozen is 12 different countries. That one person was actually thrown into a psychiatric hospital, not on one occasion, but 2 occasions, and stalked by the police, by the psychiatrists, entire health system, courts, including the Slovenian Supreme Court, with the full support of the politicians who claimed their opposition to Milan Kucan. For no less than 14 years, even after he already proved his case to be factual, I find that fucking crazy. I find it fucking insane. And I find it bizarre. For the people who have 10 billion euros of investments in real estate right next door here in Croatia, to cry to me how they don't have the money, let's say, to buy themselves for the telephone or for the computer because of their stay at home for elderly people and stuff like this, which people also crying about how expensive it is and so on. It is expensive. It is expensive. But I'm not compassionate to this bullshit no more. I think, based on the stuff that I see, based on what became evident here in this case, is that things in my case have gone so fucking insanely far, not because of the politicians, but because of the Slovenian people. I think it's disgusting. I think the whole fucking country is completely rotten. If anybody wants to know what exactly do I think about it, yeah, that's exactly what I think about it. I think the whole fucking Slovenia is completely insane. Yeah. And the one who made it all that shit possible, encouraged into it, that's the people from the European Union, from US Justice Department of State, all that good stuff. Interpol, Europol. European Union Ombudsman, European Union Commissioner, European Union Commission, Court for Human Rights in Strasbourg, and Amnesty International and United Nations, and etc. Yeah, because these people here in Slovenia, even if it's the smallest, tiniest little crime here within the country, if they don't fulfill all the requirements to hush something down, they don't touch it. They don't touch it. But in my case, it seems like it became a fucking sport to violate, I'm not going to say every right, because I don't think I had any fucking rights. Not rights even to a fucking mail, basically. Unless it's signed by the Milan Kucan. I don't think that's normal. That much for this business here. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bunch of proofs I gave you out. I like that one about Mateja Jerič stuff, business. Threatening literally to get my father killed if it would not be for him convenient to be around. This is fucking disgusting. Basically implying on whether you're going to shut your mouth about the stuff we do or you're going to say goodbye to your father. This is fucking insane. This is Slovenia. That's how they do it. Again, thanks for watching this video. There will be next time. Yeah. We're getting closer and closer. I cannot give any videos yet about the father. Father is choking. He is sick. He is having severe problems with the bronchitis, with asthma, with mother giving crazy statements just the way I described right there. We're playing around with this kind of stuff, and father is doing his crazy part too. Enough of it. Difficult, for me, extremely difficult, but this is what goes on. So they wouldn't be doing if it would make no purpose. So